more of those jungle picks, but honestly, maybe Talia here, especially for a player like Karis. You also could take that away from Kair.
Okay, I like it. Well, it is going to be the first pick, so taking that mobility out of mid lane, also that team fight and objective setup that the Talia brings to the table. There were some likely bans off the table as well from both sides, as that Sion we had mentioned before going into break, the Azir, the Varus, all likely bans to that B1 to kind of whittle down into that Talia pick that WE ended up going with. We'll see what FPX want to go with the other side. The 1-2 punch, I like to call it, with the first two picks. The first one's going to be K'Sante.
I don't like this. I feel when FPX have done their best, and in particular Sheer, is when he's been given counterpick or lanes that have a little bit more agency. Now, K'Sante will still be the same old K'Sante. The ability to frontline and take away one of the carries of the fight can be very important as this game goes on, but there are, I think, a few too many matchups that I think Cube can navigate that give scaling over to WE or make it a lot easier for him to take over. So WE on the opposite side, though, I like this play. They already have a ton of setup between Monki and Vampire. I think that damage might become a bit of an issue, so let's see what they're going for.
I really think Vampire is one of the most boom or bust Nautiluses that we have in the league, either being the biggest saving grace of his team or being one of the biggest enters on the pick itself. But they have so much lockdown. I think it gives you some breathing room with that for WE as the Xin Zhao does come through for Milky Way.
I just look at this, Lennon, and I see these first three from FPX. You have two solo laners that in most matchups are going to be fine, especially with Aurora and her damage early on, a bit of a lane bully, and then gets more stacks of her passive. I'm looking at this as really good amount of damage, and just the way that they can build frontline with K'Sante and Xin Zhao is unmatched versus their opponents. So
I'm a little terrified about what the Talia does to this comp, especially with the lockdown of the Skarner here in the team fights itself, if all the execution goes perfectly, right? Because the thing about FPX is they'll be looking to go in, and that's where Talia comes in clutch.
Maybe this is a Smolder game. It's looking more and more possible. I'm afraid about playing Smolder into Aurora. Xin Zhao obviously throws some Spanner in the works, but when you have so much ability as Team WE to slow fights down with Talia in particular, I think that Smolder starts to definitely gain a little bit more in priority. You've also gotten rid of now, thanks to FPX, the Ezreal and the Mbessa.
Yeah. Take away those big ticket items that could be used going forward, as we'll see what that counter pick is going to be left for FPX. Maybe the supportal counter pick, but they haven't really used that R5 yet so far in this series. Both times just picking a matchup that was already kind of shown, as the Sivir will be locked in for some team fight potential for FPX.
Maybe this is Jwei scouting for that Taric that we saw, right? We saw him play Taric such a long time. Let's go! We get Yunara, first time here in the LPL, piloted by Taeyoon. Now, I won't lie, Lennon.
Ooh.
As much as I'm excited for Yunara, I don't think she gets the time to be able to actually properly lay down damage in this game. She has a lot of setup from Skarner and this Nautilus, but aside from individual matchups, Aurora can get behind her backline very easily. K'Sante can end up dealing with her in unique ways, and she's very short range, so this is kind of tricky here for WE to play out.
I would have liked that other pick way better than this one. I am not the biggest fan of this, but we'll see if it ends up working out. Jwei will lock in the set.
I think for the laning phase, these two get to run the map. Sivir, not usually known for her early game ability to fight, but especially in minion waves, she's allowed to hit you. With Ricochet, she tears apart your minion wave, she's able to deal damage, and set level 1 through 3 is going to overpower a Nautilus early on. So,
that is true.
Also gives them ability to peel once he gets access to that ultimate. Takes away like a Skarner or, again, a Nautilus.
I expect a lot of focus to be on this bot side then. I love it because we have the two kind of heavy wave clear champions. The duality of it, though, is the Ricochet available as soon as you level it up for the Sivir. Pretty strong in that way. But the bounce from the Yunara is way better than the Ricochet, and you can actually find a lot more damage there. So it's about trying to find those timing windows for the Yunara, and Taeyoon, rather, willing to take this out for the first time in the LPL. And coming off of that Kai'Sa performance, you already know he's revved up, man. He's on pace for a really kind of mechanically based champion.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the killer instinct to get out, doesn't have the invisibility. He has like a dash, but it's not even that great. I don't know. I think we might be looking at an FPX 2-0. It's not even like they outright win scaling when the game goes later, right? Still, that Aurora is going to be pumping out damage. Sivir on 3 items is going to be a menace to deal with. So another situation where I find WE in the mid game need to be active.
All right, well, we're getting to game number 2. Can WE right the wrongs of game number 1, bring us to even keel, and try to get their first series win under their belt, or will FPX end it here and give us an early night with a 2-0? Don't be embarrassed to
It's
cheer.
tough to be an FPX fan.
No.
I get it. I get it. They didn't even have a very promising, last split, right? Like the highest earning that they got for split 2 was beating NIP in that play-in series, game 5. That's it. So,
True.
good to see.
Good to see. Good to see. And all you at home, just know you don't have to be embarrassed to cheer for your team. It's gonna be okay.
You say that, but as a previous TSM fan, I got a lot of flack for being a fan.
Well, maybe that's deserved. So,
All right,
we're just going to move past. Something they talked about on the LTA North broadcast earlier today was the kind of differentiation between the build for the Yunara and the fact we've seen a little bit more leaning into the full-on hit style, especially with the Blade of the Rune King.
I can't focus with this camera angle, bro. Stop. Stop.
But look at the chickens.
They're
so
Are
cute.
they chickens?
They look like little chickens.
Oh, they are
little ducks. And she's throwing them at people, though, which, wherever they go, nobody knows. They go somewhere. But you can go with that kind of aggressive first item build to try to combat Sivir a little bit.
I wonder what the items are. Yuntal Wild Airs has taken a bit of a hit in terms of popularity, so I haven't seen too much of her on-hit builds. I know that there was like Blade of the Rune King and Runons. I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but we'll see what Taeyoon's going to be going for. Both junglers starting on the top side of the map, and again, early vision from WE. You're noting where Milky Way is and setting up to protect at least one half of these lanes. That's really what Monki's going to be doing here.
Oh my god, Jwei with a beautiful face breaker as Vampire uses his Spider-Man to get his way out. Taeyoon does lose a ton of his health, and this is where some of that range can really come into question here. We'll be able to back off that bot side, but both junglers passing down this way. We'll see what impact they can have.
I just don't understand the blind. Like, you should not be able to take the Yunara into Sivir. I feel like this is not a matchup that is particularly very fun for her to play. Yunara's wave clear isn't all that, especially early on, so right now it's just going to be WE and their ability to receive resources from their opponents. When I'm looking at this map for WE, I want to see the solo lanes really get active, and I don't think we got to see too much of that from WE in their last game.
Yeah, and the other problem is you're so short range that, like, to get the minions, you have to be way closer than is comfortable to that face breaker from Jwei.
Yep.
And that's always going to be terrifying to deal with. Monki is just going to cross over that mid lane. Will be spotted out in the end, so they will know where he's going. There will be the split of that. Taeyoon actually ended up having to force a back in the middle of it.
Yeah, now he's screwed though, because
Yeah.
he knows Milky Way's behind
That's
this
so
turret.
tough.
And with the ward going down there, he should not be allowed to get over here. Like, Jwei should walk forward. Yup, Jwei walk forward. Minion's gonna go down here. Brother.
Oh, Jwei.
Brother.
Did he auto or?
I mean, there was just no minions, right? So he tanks he has to tank the turret there. So,
That's
all right, never mind. I was really excited to see Taeyoon lose potentially half a wave. None of that happens. Jwei just gives over a kill, and thankfully for FPX, it is onto Vampire, but not
The
much.
slow, JiaQi not expecting the 99% slow from the W. Vampire couldn't capitalize, didn't feel like burning the splash anyways. As we have that reset coming out from the junglers, and Monki has gotten the better of Milky Way's topside. Oh, Karis going at it in mid lane.
That's the punishment. Good job for Monki to be able to find all those resources, and especially for this top lane matchup, having access to this Yorick can Very dangerous for sure.
I feel like this is going. I mean, the CS is fine. Is this as expected? I mean, Sheer is at a huge health deficit.
For Yorick, I think it's fine. They have toned Cassante down pretty considerably since last year. And I think one of the things that people don't tend to think about, especially with systemic changes like what happened to Biscuits, the mana missing on the Biscuits does mean that a lot of those tank top laners that might take them don't have as much regen for their abilities. So does this mean that both of our top laners are just going to be recalling here and teleporting back? Cube gets a huge buy with not only the plated steel caps, but also has his ultimate. So with Grubs in 2 minutes, I think we could start to see WE play a little bit more aggressive, especially with the solo.
Just a little stop off on that Biscuit point. First of all, it hurts so badly, but it's also like if you had found like a pastry shop that makes like a perfect pastry and you go there every day for it, and then one day you show up and that pastry no longer has a filling. That's the feeling when we came back to the game with Biscuit not having mana. That's all.
There was a lot of other things missing, but I'm sure Kai also has a lot of experience of things going missing after a couple of years.
True. A little bit of 3v3 action on the bot side. Jwei gets a face breaker in. Vampire now sacrifices his health bar. 3-man and Tail coming on from Monki. As now Milky Way goes in, overextends himself, and if FPX fight like this, they're going to lose this game. FPX goes down to Taeyoon.
Aurora's on the way over, and guess what? She just misses a wave. Okay, sure. FPX. That was a great punish from WE. Remember, Milky Way spending all of his time on the bottom lane means that Monki got some more topside camps. He gets his ultimate first, and that's a huge win there for WE, especially with getting at least one of those kills on the Yunara.
I'm glad coming into the game, when you were setting up, that you said that you think FPX is going to take this one. It's going to be a 2-0. Because in all reality, you had wanted, since I had set the stage of the opposite day rules, that you wanted 3 games. And WE is delivering. So far, so good.
Just what is Jwei doing? The Haymaker
support,
only landing on top 1. He gets the face breaker only onto the Nautilus. You have to be able to save this. Small mechanical errors coming out from the rest of Team FPX, but I'm glad that we got to see our boys on WE actually get something going for them in the early game.
Bro, I hate the set pick. I mean, Jwei can stand to reason. He can absolutely prove me wrong in this game. I'll be waiting. I'll be tapping my foot. But I just feel like it's such a, kind of double-edged sword. Let's see if Jwei can navigate that at least. Objectives are up, and we have the dragon that's been up for a little while. We had the lane swap come through from FPX. Not responded to just yet by WE, but they are going to move their bot lane walking towards mid to potentially set up for this grub fight.
And Cube is already over here. You can see that sheer because both these top laners do not have their teleports. Oh, Milky Way.
Milky Way is going to die.
Wait a minute.
So they do get the play back, at least one of them. Now comes the phase breaker. Taeyoon now has shown up though, and Taeyoon is taking completely wide. The Cube has shown up too. Phase breaker into that damage, but it's not going to be enough as well. As now they have that Haymaker damage. This is a showstopper from Jwei with the flash play. Taeyoon tries to get him in the end. He's going to have the Kanmei steps coming up soon. Can use that to speed up and get to him. Won't have enough distance to cover it. It ends up just Monki being the one that goes down.
That fight right there is exactly why I love this set pick in this situation.
Okay.
The ability to have that Haymaker to just completely warp a fight, and even with Milky Way going down, I love the way that FPX were able to play out the rest of that. Let Care deal the rest of this damage. This is a single ward from Team WE that ends up spotting Milky Way. Vision control has been lacking here for FunPlus Phoenix so far in this series, and glad to see that WE are willing to try to capitalize on it.
It's actually a really nice crescent guard right there. But yeah, WE tried to collapse in the end. I'm surprised that Karis goes down. That's a really nice pickup from Care in the end.
This ultimate as well from Monki is a bit unfortunate, but
tough.
Yeah, still hiding some of the face breaker there. I like it. Or the Haymaker coming in from the set. You just have so much HP, the regen. I'm gonna be honest here, Lennon. We got the flash away from Yunara. That's a pretty big one for us, even though we do trade one dragon for FPX, while WE are able to grab themselves the clubs.
Yeah, I mean, this big grub would be very nice, especially for the Yunara, who I feel like rips through turrets in the end. Now Jwei finds another one, face breaker on a Taeyoon that he will end up using his shadow to get out. He did end up popping the Transcend oneself as well to get that extra blink. Since it is a blink instead of a dash, Monki will get the weirding thrown onto him. And you know, with Yunara, they were talking about LTA, but now with Yunara in the mix, the vocabulary of these fights has gotten a lot next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cultivation of spirit.
Yeah.
The arc
Transcend
of
oneself.
ruin or judgment.
The weirding, the twofold hex. Between worlds. You can make like a whole sentence just between the two kids.
That's usually what happens when we talk about champions. So I'm glad that we're
it's
picking
like
it up.
halfway through.
We're 8 months into 2025, Lennon. I'm glad we're still learning.
It's working.
So
Yeah.
it's an important part.
Hey,
of
you learn something new every day. That's what they say.
So we come back to this game, and we're kind of looking back at this now, 11 minutes in. There have been some early scraps, but generally I would say that WE have come out the victors of this early game. Having 3 grubs on a team that has Talia and this York means that the ability to side lane or apply pressure is going to be felt even more so. And FPX, I need to see them not only have cleaner team fights, but in terms of the lane assignments and how they actually are able to wave clear, they need to be very, what's the word, intentional with where they put players like Care and JiaQi, because those are primarily the ways that they're going to be able to actually push waves. Yeah,
and I think side lane is going to be a tough question for FPX to answer, especially if Cube, continues to get a little bit farther ahead. He does have a pretty decent CS lead. I do wonder, do items make a big difference here? As we are getting to first items for majority, do you feel like it leans one way or the other, especially in a pretty even game?
Well, right now, I'm looking at the inventories. I see that Care and Milky Way and JiaQi all have their first items. That is not the same that can be said here for Team WE. Is a heart steal for Monki. That's not going to do much. Really, we're kind of, as we've been talking about, banking on whether or not Taeyoon can carry these fights as this Yunara with the Kraken Slayer.
Yeah, the Kraken Slayer spike is going to be pretty nice, but we have seen people shy away from the Kraken Slayer start from Yunara, so we'll see if it works out for Taeyoon this time. And the first time we're getting to see Yunara in the LPL. It's been really fun to see what this champion can do at the max levels, but now that next setup is a little bit far away. I mean, we have about 2 minutes till both next objectives spawn, and I gotta ask, is it a good thing for either side that it's spawning at the same time? Because we could just get the trade options.
If they are willing to trade, I'd actually love to see FPX prioritize this dragon. You are going to be hurting in the short term, and we'll see what the effects of giving a team with 3 grubs and the Herald ends up looking like. Yeah. But I think that just the fact that you're able to have access to more scaling in this game. You look at what the dragons are going to be, or the soul. Hextech's already gone. Infernal's going to be gone. So I think we're going to get more of the supportive style of Dragon Souls. That could actually make or break the game here for them.
You're going for the all-in, all-out on the Karis. As he flashes, he's going to die. Top lane experience. No! He gets hit with the seismic shove, and Sheer can't do it. He doesn't have flash. He doesn't have anything, and the Weaver's wall saves Karis. As now, at least he gets out.
I saw his player cam. He's like, I don't know if I love this one, but I did, so that's smiling. Great. No flash and no ultimate does mean this is really problematic. You can kind of see that he's now invested in the teleport on the bottom side. Cube needs to be careful.
He does have Vampire behind him. The rest of the team coming up. Cube getting low. No Jwei can't finish him off. Care trying to get there. Depth charge comes through. Jwei now looking for it. Flash from Vampire will go down.
Wow. In a matter of 45 seconds now, WE have lost 3 flashes. And we've got a dragon to play for in the next 45. So I like what FPX were able to do. 2 individual plays happening on opposite sides of the map ends up grabbing them massive kind of advantages going into this next play.
Karis was able to get a little bit more damage in the side lane turret here as they did return. PP have been utilized. Sheer just walked his way out here. As you said, a little bit of gold back and forth. About 2,000 gold lead developed for WE. It's going to be on a major part of the members, right? It's not just on one singular carry. And now we see another turret going to fall. At least would be first turret of the game.
Okay. Cool. Feat strength now completed for WE.
Easy.
Okay. I said all that stuff about the top side and them trading flashes, but then I looked at what FPX had available to them to actually fight. There's no ultimate from all 3 of their top sides, so it seems like WE are instead going to focus themselves on getting that Herald right now, but some movement from WE indicates that they're willing to try to contest both objectives here.
All right, well, they're going to try to get a little bit of both going as Vampire hesitant to move up. Dragon should just go their way, and there won't be much else coming of it. Karis did not have the Weaver Ball available to him. The Rift Herald goes the other way, and that's a lot of standing gold that WE can scoop up. I mean, 3 grubs with the Herald. It's going to be a lot of damage done.
Karis also dropping a fair amount of resources. Both of our mid laners really trying to hover around their teams, recognizing that if there is going to be a play, it is most likely going to be in one of these lanes, either the mid or the bottom lane right now, especially with them being on the Dragon. But Karis, like, we need to go to farm back up, brother.
They just defend for the Scuttle Crab, and now just Showstopper into the double face breaker, but the Haymaker is not going to be enough, and the set is left out on a desert, and now WE takes full advantage of this fight. It's looking completely one-sided, and that's a double kill for Taeyoon on the Yunara.
What did I just watch? What am I happening?
You're saying that
what is
FPX
going
are
on?
Win game 2 at the end of draft. That's what we're watching.
Man, just what is the fight from FPX? Whatever, man. Well, Lennon, the good news is that WE now grab themselves 2 turrets potentially. Very least, more jungle camps. There we go. There's that second turret falling in the bottom side, and Yunara is 3-0. Probably going to be closer to finishing a second item here once we get out of this replay. The start of this is like, okay, fine, you hooked my Scuttle Crab, who cares? I thought this was fine for FPX. Maybe a little too ambitious here from Jwei, because his backline is now getting handled by a Skarner solo.
Yeah, nobody's even damaging Monki. That's the craziest point, is nobody from FPX auto-attacked for like more than half of that fight. And I will say another little fact in all of this, and something we pointed out from draft, the Taliyah is just so damn strong into a comp like this, because they want to try to like dive in these fights. They want to try to move forward. You just put down that ground, and they can't do anything. I mean, I watched Milky Way almost stun himself twice in the same fight.
The terrain generation is really difficult, especially like you mentioned, so many dashes here from FunPlus Phoenix. I still want to see whether or not Taliyah is going to ultimately be super useful, because what we have seen so far from this game is Karis really hasn't had too much impact on this game aside from those unrivaled earths. So do you want to see a little bit more of a splash from a player who kind of got taken advantage of in that first game by their counterpart?
Yeah, I agree. Let's see if they can find a little bit more prowess in these fights, but one that does not need any differentiation from that game number 1, because he was popping off in that one too. Taeyoon in game 2, still feeling the mechanical side of things on this Yunara. Feeling really good, new champion, but it also just fits Taeyoon's style to a T.
Taeyoon has been so impressive for the games that he had in the first half of the split. When we were talking about Team WE, a lot of it was just, okay, can Taeyoon drag 4 wards over the finish line? And eventually, Team WE did end up becoming the Monki and Vampire team for the most part. And players like Karis and Cube had a little bit more to kind of carry the burden in terms of the damage. Taeyoon's always been reliable. I actually think this split he's been a little less stable. I think some of his positioning hasn't been the greatest. So glad to see that he's performing even on a new champion. And we'll have to see whether or not he can actually close out this game with a 5,000 gold lead here for Team WE.
Yeah, I mean, for last split, I feel like every time we saw WE, it was always talking about Taeyoon. It was always talking about how can they get this guy to carry, especially his Kaisa always looked really good. We saw that last game, not be able to pull WE over the finish line. This time around, it's on the new champion. 2025 diff going on right now. And see if he can do that on the Yunara here. Almost 3 items, going to be closer to that here soon, and unfortunately JiaQi has only not even completed his second. They were trying to clamp on the Karis, but aren't going to find it in the end, and Dragon is spawning in 35.
I wonder how Karis saw that ward, because he got the notification he might have rune that allows you to see wards if they're automatically placed near you. I think it's within 1,100 units. So that right there gave him the note. If he gets caught there, that might have been Otacon there for FPX. But Dragon spawns in 10. Are FunPlus Phoenix feeling kind of thrifty right now?
Oh,
they know
Milky
this game
Way.
is getting away from them.
Oh, Milky Way. Why are we even there, man? He was like thinking about going on a play for Karis, then like didn't commit to it, then decided to walk in anyways, and as he walks in, Monki's just sitting there staring at him. And unfortunately, Milky Way would go 0-4, and W will take the Anaconda.
While this is happening, you can see it on your minimap. Thank you, our observers. Are we making a play in the cube? Guys, hit the dragon. Doesn't matter. Dragon matters. We're leaving Monki to solo Otacon.
He's got the art skill. He's fine. Honestly, though, yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna take him forever. That's fine.
And then FPX can't do the dragon. Okay.
Wait, man, they don't have their jungler.
Oh
so
my
now,
God, they're gonna do it.
all right, Lennon, we're going to game 3. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong here for FPX has exactly happened as is.
They just got aura checked.
Yep, we didn't think, we thought maybe the solo laner is going to have a bigger impact. That doesn't necessarily happen. Milky Way is having more of the problems that ended up leading to, or contributing towards RNG's demise in Split 2.
I'm just saying, I did my part by saying that we were going to go to 3 and thinking it was going to be 2 games. You did not, and that's why we're here.
It's not my fault, bro. I just cast these games. I do not play them.
FPX is trying to make an alcove gameplay moment on the cube. They do end up finding the pick in the end, so they make this sting a little bit worse. But Jwei can't get caught on the other side too. Oh my gosh, and he goes down. So that play they just made was all for nothing.
It helps out Sheer because he no longer has to deal with the annoying matchup of playing against this Yorick with 3 grubs. But yeah, this is not going very well. Look at the picture-in-picture. Yeah, he just walks onto a ward. He's by himself. And what did we say coming into the series, right? Both of these supports, they like to go on little solo missions. They like to do their thing where they feel a little bit like they have some agency. They can roam into certain spots, but then they lose a large portion of their HP bar. And it makes it tough for objective fights. It makes it tough to have everybody out on the map at the same time.
All right, so let's settle the score here a little bit. It's almost, 6 to 5,000 gold lead for WE, hovering here and there. But there were some factors we were talking about from the graph that can lean in FPX favor. I mean, WE were in a position like this just in game number 1 where they had a scaling composition. There are still some really hefty scaling options for FPX as they move forward, but these fights don't give us confidence in them being able to execute that.
Need to see good performances. Care now finishing a second item. I don't think this is the Leandri's game. Honestly, I don't think a lot of games are Leandri's games. They took way too much AP out of this, but if we can see a fight where this Aurora gets multiple applications of her passive, JiaQi's able to free hit, then I think we have an actual team fight. Just think about how the fights are being layered right now, especially for the front line. If we can get Sheer involved, maybe there's an angle here for FPX to fight back here.
And JiaQi and Taeyoon are pretty on par with each other. Just a little bit of difference. Obviously, the crit cloak there for Taeyoon, but still about 2.5 items. Care going to have to get the flash burned out of him by Vampire. And W make a fast play on top side and going to get a tier 2 out of him.
Got so much damage. This is a great play. They've even shifted Cube now into mid lane so they can take control of this lane. And then once they're done pushing, you can move all of the division. Look at the mini-map right now. So much of it lit up with these blue wards. Impossible for FPX to move forward. And you look at the objective spawning. In a minute it will be a Baron. A minute after that will be the Dragon spawning here. Jwei loses his flash, but that's as good of a win as you're going to be able to get here for FunPlus Phoenix.
Milky Way might lose his life because of it. They are going to clear those wards in the bush. But they go right back to put them again.
Turns out, Lennon,
never mind.
when you have a Skarner and you have a Talia bouncing between 2 lanes that are next to each other, really, really good. And very strong, as we've seen.
Yeah. It's working out so far for W, and this is a stark contrast to what we were seeing in game number 1. I think it's a nice realization of what their win condition can be, and especially the early play through Taeyoon. That's what I love to see from W.
Taeyoon, I mean, he has to be. He's finishing red buff. He has to be close to getting his LDR here. So expect a really big fight. W are going to fish yet again with teleport coming in from Karis. They want this Baron. And they do not have a second smite. That was ran out, so Vampire will not have the spell book to be able to help his jungler.
He has smite on right now, too. They might look for a play on the JiaQi in mid lane. Not going to be able to catch him just yet. Full stack from WE hovering over this Baron. Looks like they want to force the issue here. 40 seconds till Dragon spawns, so maybe the perfect timing. As they're going to lay Vampire and Karis in wait. See if they can bring him out. Look at this vision game from FPX, or at least against FPX from WE. They are just set up perfectly.
It's spotted now. I mean, Karis can very easily just segment this fight, make it impossible for them to join. No ghost, no ultimate here from JiaQi.
Jwei needs to get in the pit. Seismic Shove stops him. He can't get over, and the Dreadline comes in. The Baron's gone, and now Monki going for the engage. Gets stopped by Jwei. Impale goes a little bit wide in the end, but Q hunts down the rest of the members of FPX. Now Kair gonna try to get out, but he can't do it. TP wasted. And we're on to game 3.
There it is. Taeyoon can just rip apart these fights. Has 3 grubs now as well. WE, low and slow is the game. This time they didn't have to take that many fights. This is reminding me of their series versus JDG, where in the first one, they're just fighting relentlessly over every single objective. Game 2 comes in, they have a Skarner and Scion comp, and they just slow roll Jingdong through the entirety of that game.
They did indeed, and then a little bit of return to that form, but also, I don't know who sucked out the souls of FPX, but they were just not even in the building in this game number 2. And WE took full advantage of that one. And I think that's really nice to see compared to that first game, where it was just a faltering for WE at all times of the game itself, trying to figure out what their win condition was, trying to play around that here as well. But this was a good execution of what Monki and Karis can do early into Taeyoon and Vampire finding that success.
These 2 games are a perfect culmination of what we have seen from these 2 teams, where honestly, not only is it night and day performances inside of series, but some of the strengths for both of these teams showing out in the games that they have won so far. And obviously we're not done with this one yet, but we have a 10,000 gold lead here for WE. In competitive, it is very, very difficult to lose a 10,000 gold lead, so expecting for FPX to be back on the drawing board when it comes to Game 3 draft.
Yeah, and especially with Taeyoon on the Unar at 4-0. I mean, he's almost on 4 items now, and once either one of these ADs really got a big advantage, I mean, either side was going to snowball it. And turns out it's just the new champ diff. Another Seismic Shove connects. Gotta say, Karis has been on one with those so far in this game. Really found a lot of options with those. WE, a little bit delayed on finishing out these pushes. Still have the Baron buff aplenty. Still have that cannon minion there. The next wave is going to be coming up on bot side too. I wonder if they just wanted to push up mid, but looks like they are also waiting for that double super minion stack to push in the top lane.
They are very short range. It makes it hard to try to find sieges. They need to get engagements as WE if they want to be able to close this one out. Sivir, Aurora, clear minion waves like butter. So like to see that FPX are getting a large amount of that gold back here.
They are, but Milky Way loses all of his health. Another Seismic Shove strikes the line, and then Impale goes ahead and brings Sheer to the back of the team, too. He uses his all out to get out. Nice little showstopper there, but he gets killed in the middle of it there as Lee's pushed back, and a triple kill comes through for Cube as WE put the finishing touches to the base of FTX. We only had one series today, so you know it's got to go the distance. Game 3 on the table. WE right the wrongs of Game 1.
They slam FPX in this game. No more random fights. It felt like everything was within expectation. And a large part of this game comes down to Milky Way. This is his second series on the team, so there will be growing pains. But so many fights not going their way. In particular, we cast our minds back very early in the game. He's level 5, trying to make the dive onto this bottom lane, onto Taeyoon. Not only do they not find anything, Jwei ends up dying to the turret, and Monki just gets to completely cannibalize his jungle. That makes the matchup so much more difficult, and from there it felt like every little thing started to snowball for Team WE.
And it's just crazy. I mean, we get this all the time. So it's not like it's a new thing in the LPL, but it just feels like these teams lose their minds sometimes. And it's so baffling because then you look at a couple of follow-through plays from Milky Way there, especially in that top lane, where he like tries to go for a wraparound dive when the dive wasn't even set up and then just gets completely caught. And those things snowball so quickly, even at this level in Group Ascend. And I think it was really good mastery of how to take that situation and how to run it through FPX for WE. And that's something we talked about for FPX in game number 1, is taking some of those mistakes from WE and using it against the enemy. And I think this time around we saw the vice versa of it.
We came into this series, me personally, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm a big WE fan. I love the kind of games that we have gotten, especially early on in the split 2 where Monki was not only innovating in the jungle meta, but also his early pathing was so creative and much different from many of the other junglers. We have lost that a little bit here for WE, but what we have gotten from them in trade is a lot more objective control. They have a lot better priority, I would say, on taking things like Dragon, things like Grubs and stuff. It's just the setups that don't always go their way, but when they do, this team feels oppressive.
Yeah, they can indeed. They can kind of feel like strangleholding the enemy there as well, especially with comps like that. I mean, that's the big thing about that draft, is it just felt like an easily executable draft, and they did so. And that's what I was looking for the entire time for Team WE.
I'm glad we got it. I'm glad that WE gets some fight back, but still, Lennon, one of these teams have won in Split 3, and the other one is WE. So
I mean, if FPX play like that again, then hey, WE gonna find their first win. That's for sure.
I'm praying for some Milky Way downfall. I'm sorry. I need to see him. I need, like, I
mean, you just saw it, man.
I don't understand what this roster move did, because usually when you want to think about how roster construction goes, especially at a high level, you're thinking about, okay, not only can we build for success now, but how are we going to build for success in the future, whether that's 6 months, whether that's a year, 2 years. And IYY, for all of his faults, obviously a very new player to competitive, had some upside. You can potentially grow this player. He could be that player that eventually takes the mantle from a player like Care later on. And now we've thrown that all away for a player that, yes, wasn't getting any playtime, but I don't even think was the best jungler out of Group Nirvana.
Yeah, and that's the kind of tough realization to some extent, but as we take a look back to some of these clips, I gotta ask you, man, just the brass tacks. Set. Why? How?
I still like the set.
When?
I think Jwei just
You
played
like
it terribly.
Okay.
I think Jwei just played it terribly.
I just think you do
it's
so much
unfortunate.
less than other options. Because like
Sure,
the
but,
Rakan
like,
was up, like things like that.
The theoretical value of this champion versus Team WE is still really high in my mind.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just
More for the
overrating
laning
set,
phase, right?
but I think that his champ, the kit is too strong for what WE wanted to do, and a lot of this game, I think, did come down to individual errors.
I agree. A lot of them. And I think in that situation, that like in the 2v2, it feels really good. But then you got that early addition from the junglers, and it not going the way of FPX, and then all of a sudden the Yunara has some gold and has a little bit of a lead. And again, Karis finding insane seismic shoves time and time again in these fights. Monki with not the most accurate of impales, but when he hit them, you know, it looks real good. And I think this kind of moment is something that WE can try to build off of in momentum. I'm sure they're going to be on red side for game number 3, but maybe trying to figure out what can work for them now on another like easily executable kind of baseline composition.
Speaking about MVPs, I think it's really easy to just say that Monki probably has earned himself an MVP, but
okay.
considering it's Yunara, new champion,
I think it's
probably
Taeyoon.
going to be seeing some bias going over towards Taeyoon.
I hope so. Taeyoon deserves it, especially after getting so close on that Kaisa game. He had some pretty insane moments.
That game was doomed for a long time,
Yeah,
unfortunately. His team let him down there, but I don't think he played this game terribly, but I don't think it was anything out of the ordinary for Taeyoon.
Okay. New champ diff, though, as it's not new champ diff, man.
There we go.
Monki does end up getting the MVP. Even though he misses the impales, it's the body that counts.
It's the fact that he got a massive jungle lead very early on into this game, and Monki continuing to be one of the brightest stars
He
from
is.
Group Ascend that is not a household name.
Yeah, and I think it's more so, I know I'm memeing about the impales, but it's more so what you do in the fights, in the like kind of elongated fights that Monki was really shining in. And I think that kind of direction for WE paired up, obviously, with Vampire has been really cool to see. I know it's something we talk about every time we see WE, but it is one of the brighter spots and the brighter combinations between the two. But that is it for our second game of the day. We have one more on the docket. We knew it was going to go the distance, and we'll see you there for game number 3 between